To deliver his address was Nisa Bulavanaka. Assalamu alaikum. It is a privilege to be here today, and I thank you sincerely for welcoming us to your house of prayer. Thank you for your warmth. Thank you for greeting us as you would your own family. As we approach the first anniversary of the terror attack in Christchurch against New Zealand's Muslim community, we are filled with deep emotion. And I want to remember Fiji's own sons who were killed in this tragedy. Aman Hafiz Musa Patel, Ashraf Ali Razat, Ashraf Ali. They were yours, and now they are part of us. Our love goes to their family and friends, and to all of you, their Muslim brothers and sisters who have been left with painful memories to this day. While I will never know your pain, I carry with me many memories from that day and the days that followed. I still recall visiting the hall where the day after the attack, hundreds of members of the Muslim community gathered. Amongst them was Mrs. Patel. I still remember talking with you that day, Mrs. Patel, as you desperately looked for your husband, your imam. I remember talking with you as you retraced your steps and feeling pained as I handed you over to a member of the Red Cross to continue to support you and to assist you. In your darkest of hours, I can tell you that I will never forget the grief that I saw that day. I also want to acknowledge having just met Ashraf's family and his grandson. And I acknowledge that you have lost a mentor and friend. But please know that New Zealand now carries him in their hearts, and that you have a home in New Zealand now too. I want to acknowledge Hafiz Khan and the Fiji Muslim League, and I thank you for bringing us together in memory of those who have lost their lives. Assalamu alaikum. Today is very important to us as New Zealanders. We wanted to be here to thank you all in person, to thank you for being friends to New Zealand, to thank you for your understanding and support, and to acknowledge the important ties between Fiji's Muslim community and the Muslim community in New Zealand. They existed before. They exist even more strongly now. And I want to place on record our deep appreciation for the many messages of support and sympathy that we received from Fiji following the March 15 attacks. It gave us strength to know that you stood in solidarity with us, and you sent those messages so swiftly. You were amongst the first. But it was especially moving to receive those messages, knowing that you faced your own grief. When I attended a memorial service soon after the attacks, I have to say I felt lost for words. I had been so moved by the generosity of the Islamic faith. In this time of great pain, mosques were opened by the community. We were met by the simple greeting, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. In the face of hate and violence, the Muslim community in New Zealand and around the world had every right to express pain and to express anger. Instead, they chose love. Instead, they chose to open their hearts for all of us to grieve with them and with you. Instead, you chose to open your arms and embrace us. Instead, you chose to comfort us as we sought to comfort you. And that was captured by those simple words, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. Those words humbled and united us as a country, and at a time when an attack struck against our core values, an attack that was malicious and racially and ideologically motivated. Today I want to talk to you about our commitment to working to ensure these attacks never happen again, our commitment to eradicate the underlying drivers and ideology of such a cowardly act, our commitment to promoting the values that Fiji and New Zealand share, those of kindness, of compassion. Championing these values must sit at the core of our efforts to counter violent extremism. But we also know that we have a duty to take on the very tangible threats that existed and enabled this attack to occur in our home. The terrorist attack in Christchurch, it did expose weaknesses, for instance, in our gun legislation. A week after the attack, we announced a ban on all military-style semi-automatic weapons, like the one used in the attack, removing them from our communities. Within a month, both sides of New Zealand's Parliament had united to effect this ban. The attack was also designed to weaponise the internet, to capitalise on an underbelly of online racism and hate. And I've said before, we cannot confront these sorts of issues alone, none of us can, and so we united. Immediately after the attack, we reached out. We worked with France to develop what has been called the Christchurch Call, a call to action to eliminate terrorist and violent extremist content online through collaborating between countries, with tech companies and with civil society. Freedom of expression, it is a fundamental human right. It is one that New Zealand protects fiercely, but no one has the right to create and share terrorist and violent extremist content online. So this call to action, it is now supported by 48 countries, 3 international organisations and 8 online service providers. The call is also a sign of our sense of responsibility to honour the victims of the attack and those like it, and to try and prevent it from ever happening again. But we don't have to be politicians or in positions of power to honour those we lost in our thoughts and in our actions. In fact, immediately after the attacks, Prime Minister Bainimarama called on all Fijians across all backgrounds and faiths to join with him in making a pledge. Wherever you are and wherever you encounter someone who says something racist or hateful, whether it's online or in person, say something. He said, quote, "Be the voice of love, be the voice of change." And so too do we carry that responsibility to look, to work as a nation to address the root causes of intolerance, to build resilient, inclusive communities able to resist those hateful ideologies. And our approach ultimately revolves around a simple concept. It's not bound by borders. It isn't based on ethnicity, political or legal power, or even forms of governance. It lies in our common humanity. In New Zealand, we value and we celebrate diversity. We're a nation of hundreds of ethnicities, 160 languages. Many of you, perhaps all of you, will have family or connection in New Zealand. We celebrate diversity and inclusiveness. We pride ourselves on being open and peaceful, but we reflected deeply on the fact that March 15, that terror attack happened in our country. Despite that celebration of diversity, we still have work to do to strengthen New Zealand society. We are not perfect. And this means thinking about how we can build an inclusive society, one in which diversity doesn't just exist but is valued. A place where we break down the walls of otherness and instill in everyone pride in being a New Zealander and what that means. It means building societies that are inclusive of all religions, races, gender, and where all cultures have a place. Human rights are upheld, and so are New Zealand's values of kindness, fairness, and compassion. I remain ever confident, ever optimistic, ever hopeful that countering violent extremism with inclusion and basic humanity at its core is the most effective way to prevent the tragedy of the Christchurch terror attack ever happening again. And if we strive to create a society in this vein, we will take lessons from the Muslim community in New Zealand, who in the face of such brutal violence help New Zealand respond with compassion. We will remember the powerful greeting, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. And so too will we remember the words spoken by the first Māori king more than 150 years ago, where he said, "There is but one eye of the needle through which the white, red and black threads must pass." It speaks of Māori artwork called the tukutuku and the process of weaving different coloured threads together. Individual threads can be weak, but woven together they make a strong and beautiful peace. That is the beauty of diversity, the beauty of unity. May we never forget that, and may we never forget those we have lost. Assalamu alaikum, Banaka Vakalevu.